There's a story currently unfolding thousands of miles from all of our shores, but its implications could be catastrophic for the West. What about Nigeria, Africa's most populous nation, where Christians are under siege? And make no mistake, this is not just a local problem, it's a global warning for the West. In 2025, nearly 8,000 Christians were murdered in Nigeria by Islamic extremists. That's a staggering number, brings the total death toll over the past 16 years to more than 125,000. The violence is not random. It follows a terrifying pattern. These attackers strike at night, shoot anyone in sight, burn churches to the ground, destroy farms, and force survivors to flee. Rinse and repeat. Once Nigeria boasted roughly 100,000 churches. Today it's claimed that 19,000 of those places of worship have been destroyed. It's left the Christian communities in rural areas exposed and vulnerable and under constant threat. Jihadi groups like the Fulani herdsmen and Boko Haram have been largely responsible for this awful wave of bloodshed. And it's not just about the numbers, it's about the very fabric of a nation. Nigeria is home to 220 million people, roughly evenly split between Christians and Muslims. Yet most of the attacks are concentrated in the north, where the Muslim population is in the majority. Even so, at least 30,000 Muslims have also lost their lives in years of conflict. Since returning to civilian rule in 1999, Nigeria has endured waves of extremist violence, economic instability and political upheaval. Boko Haram's 2009 uprising alone killed 20,000 people and displaced more than 2 million Nigerians. The 2014 kidnapping of 276 schoolgirls shocked the world. But Boko Haram's later alliance with Islamic State made them only more brutal and only more ruthless. Today, Nigeria is a nation of 250 ethnic groups and two major religions, buckling under the weight of overlapping crises. And in the eye of the storm stands its Christians, who are simply being hunted for their faith. Now, you might ask, why should any of this matter to me? Why should any of this matter to us? Why should this matter to the West? Why should Americans and Europeans care about attacks happening in a country halfway around the world? The answer is simple: immigration and the broader stability of regions that impact our security, our economy, and our ways of life. You see it every day in Europe. The small boats arriving on Britain's shores, carrying migrants from failed states like Afghanistan, Eritrea, Sudan. When nations fail, people flee. And when mass migration occurs, it strains resources, it destabilizes communities, and it opens the door to further crises on our doorsteps. President Trump has already weighed in on Nigeria. His characteristically noisy style, he's threatened the Nigerian government with sanctions and even hinted at military action. Why? Because a stable Nigeria isn't just a moral imperative, it's a strategic one. Let's think about what's happened in Syria, in Iraq, in Libya, Afghanistan. We can go on. Each of those countries descended into chaos, and the West paid the price in terrorism, in migration, and in lost regional influence. Now, Nigeria is different. It's bigger, it's more important, and despite corruption and political challenges, it's comparatively stable. And keeping it that way matters. It matters for Africans, it matters for Nigerians, and it matters for us. If Nigeria were to collapse, the consequences would be enormous. We'd see mass migration on a scale we'd never seen before. Other African nations, which rely on Nigeria as a regional economic powerhouse, would face chaos, and the West would lose critical access to oil, minerals, and other resources essential to our future industries, and our security. This isn't alarmism, this is reality checks. The persecution of Christians in Nigeria is a human tragedy, do not get me wrong, but it's also a warning. A warning that when nations fail, the consequences do not stay within their borders. They ripple out. Eventually they will reach us, our cities, our economies, and our families. So as we look at the burning of churches, the destroyed farms, the fleeing families, and the shattered communities, we should remember this. This isn't just about Nigeria. It's about the West, and our future depends on paying attention before it's too late.